Hey, what's up guys? This is Kincaid with episode 2 of the 1998 YZ125 build. In this episode, I will be tearing the bike down to the frame, seeing what parts we need, and going from there. All right, we've got the girl torn down to the frame. Luckily, nothing was seized. Everything came apart smoothly, which is a really good sign for the overall condition of the bike, as well as bearings that we'll be able to reuse instead of fully replace. Next step will obviously be to tear into this engine and see exactly what we need to do. My guess is a full engine rebuild kit, including the crank, but we'll have to take this apart soon. There's a chance it's just these bearings that are bad and the crank is okay, but we'll have to get inside there to inspect it before we know for sure. One other thing I noticed the bike will need that I kind of realized right when I got it is an airbox. This has a lot of cracks in it. The guy has tried to repair it already, but ideally just find another airbox. I think those are somewhat difficult to find, so we will see about that. Haven't decided if I'll fully rebuild the shock yet or not. The forks, I already have a seal kit. The guy gave me one, so I will at least do fork seals and oil. Brakes seem like they're in okay condition. I probably will rebuild the master cylinders and the calipers. I will replace all of the plastics. The chain is actually in really nice condition. Whenever I do a bike, I generally replace chain and sprockets just because fresh chain and sprockets are obviously nice to have and they look really good on the bike, but I mean, the teeth on the sprockets are in really good shape, so I might consider just polishing up the sprockets and cleaning that chain, because really they're in good enough shape that replacing them seems somewhat pointless. For not doing this as like a full all-out build. Swing arm seems to be in good shape, just needs to be cleaned up. We'll go through and inspect all of the bearings, but all of the pivots actually do move pretty well. I'll probably just keep this seat cover. Triple clamps are in decent shape. The bearings can probably be reused, just cleaned and re-greased really well. So overall, pretty happy with the starting platform for this bike. Everything's in pretty decent shape. I'm excited to tear into the engine and see what we find. About 2 hours ago, the bike was still sitting on the stand, and now it is torn down to the frame and the engine is completely torn apart. Overall, I am relatively happy with what I see with the engine. There are a few key pieces that will need to be repaired or replaced. I didn't notice when I bought the bike that this outer clutch cover is cracked and also broken on a couple of the eyes, so I will need a new outer clutch cover. One thing I saw inside the case half is at some point the transmission was rubbing on these bearing retainers. Now the transmission itself actually looks really good. Obviously this is a much more durable material than these are made out of. I visually inspected the transmission and all the teeth and everything look solid. I'll obviously inspect it a little bit further before I install it back in the bike. but I'm thinking I can get away with just replacing these. Now I'm curious if it was just missing a washer that it needed or what for that rub to happen. So it's a little bit of a concern, but it didn't hit the case anywhere, which is good news. I can just replace these. So that is good news. Other than that, the cases themselves look good. Pretty happy with what I see, no damage. Now, unfortunately, it definitely wasn't the crank bearings, it is the crank itself. The rod is super, super stiff. Granted, I know there's companies that can rebalance cranks and tear them apart and fix them, but with how old this bike is, I think I'd rather just put a new crank in it and have that peace of mind. Now, there's one interesting spot on the inner clutch cover where this was clearly rubbed a bit by something. Now, looking at the gears that are in here, I'm not actually sure what caused that or if it will be an issue. I will probably just grind this out to be smooth so that there's no edges or possible flakes that can get into the engine once this thing's back together. But overall, I don't see that as a major concern either. Just will need to pay close attention to make sure nothing's contacting that point when everything comes back together. Oh, and lastly, the clutch basket is white notched. Baskets are expensive and I'd like to avoid getting one, but with the notches in this one, I'd feel much better with a new basket, so I'll probably start doing some research to see what I can find for a clutch basket. So I think ordering a full engine rebuild kit is in order, along with transmission bearings, but thankfully didn't find anything too catastrophic. Obviously a couple parts I'll need to order, such as that clutch cover, but overall, good starting platform. Not feeling too bad about this now that it's all torn down, and looking forward to the build. All right, guys, I am going to call that a wrap on episode 2 of the 98 YZ125 build. I know this is kind of short, but last week I was in Oregon for the entire week, skiing, snowboarding, and mountain biking at Mount Hood. It was awesome, so that took some time. And then in the last couple days, I picked up this and that. 2 more project bikes that will have their own separate videos, but I've got a lot of footage to sort out and a lot of stuff to do. So that's gonna be the end of episode 2 for the YZ125 build. I have tons of parts that have arrived. Next episode, I'll be getting the engine cases cleaned up, new bearings installed, and based on timeline of when crank and other things like that arrive, should probably have the bottom end of the engine together in the next episode. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I always really appreciate hearing your guys' feedback. And let's just do a nice pan out of the current garage setup. Oh yeah, loaded with bikes, just the way I like it. All right guys, thanks a million for watching. Be on the lookout for an edit from Mount Hood, as well as some more bike build videos coming up very soon. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.